All right, what's going on, y'all? I'm here. We just came away with Will Reichard. He was high up on the board in terms of who we wanted to go get to bring in. Obviously, this is a guy that's competed at the highest level, been a part of a championship program, 5 years doing it. He's had a lot of success there, faced a lot of adversity, come through in the biggest and highest of pressure situations. And with that, we're excited about this guy, getting this guy in and having him be a part of the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions.
Have you ever had a sample size this big with a kicker to be able to work with? Because the extra year gives you an extra year of watching him, and Steve was talking about even some improvements that he made this year.
Yeah, for sure, Matt. Great question, and you look at it. It's not many kickers that do it for 5 years and start off 5 years at that. And so you look at it. The resume speaks for itself. Being a career 86% says a lot about who this guy is and really how consistent he has been throughout his years. And you talk about really going back to high school, competing at a high level at Hoover, Alabama, and then going on to Alabama. And all this guy has done is have success every step of the way. And he's truly shown how consistent he can truly be. And he's a guy that you can count on in the biggest moments. But it's funny. You look at the 5 years plus the combine plus the Senior Bowl. For us, we didn't do a private workout with this guy because we really wanted to kind of stay under the radar just in terms of who we were kind of keying the eye in as a particular guy that we wanted to bring in. And so, but, it wasn't a need for us to really bring him in to see him on a one-on-one basis. We spent 2 hours with this guy on a Zoom call, and it was much more important for us to truly get to know the individual of who Will Reichard is in terms of a mental standpoint and his growth mindset. How does he respond to pressure situations? How does he like to be coached? What type of teammate is he? The character as he is. Who does he surround himself with? The type of support system that he has. Those were the things that we wanted to dive into and truly kind of get to know the individual a little bit more because, the resume and the tape really already spoke for itself.
Process. What was the hardest question you think you asked him?
I think the hardest question that we ended up having to ask him was probably when a coach has a correction for you and you don't agree with that coaching point. How do you go about that situation? What is that process like for you? Well, if I say, hey, I think your plant step is a little bit too deep, and it might not be something that he agrees with or something that he's been doing now for years on end, and I'm saying that I think he needs to correct that. What's the communication that goes on between you and me? Is it something that are you gonna be open to my coaching? Are you gonna immediately shut it down? Are you gonna allow it to kind of linger for a little bit before you come to me and speak on it? And so that was really probably the biggest question that I had is really his communication. How does he handle a little bit of adversity, maybe a disagreement? Because, we got to have a good relationship and, trust. That's important.
Matt, how did, if at all, did the kickoff rule change affect how you scouted Will and other kickers as well?
Yeah,
Not to get too deep in the weeds, but
yeah, Kev. I mean, that's a whole nother. We'll get to that kind of once OTAs and all that kind of get started up. But you look at it. Obviously, there'll still be times where you'll need to pound the ball out of the end zone to prevent them from being able to return the football. So that leg strength was still a factor. But I think really, the hang time kind of goes out of the door. But you looked at it really, I still think Will really graded out as one of the highest, best kickoff guys in the NCAA as well. But, in terms of placement, directionally, can you directionally hit it right, left, middle, the various kicks that you're able to have really kind of in, a part of your really kind of your resume and plethora of kicks that you're able to do. That really did kind of play a role in terms of the types of kicks that he's able to achieve.
Coach Will obviously has tons of experience, but just as far as obviously being young and being new to the NFL, how helpful is it to have someone like Andrew DePaula in that room just to kind of be an extra veteran presence along with obviously yourself?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Lindsay, and I think it's going to be important. That's why Poe is such a great guy to have when you start talking about that veteran presence and really kind of in the specs room. He's going to be a guy that where Will's going to be able to lean on Poe if he's ever going through a rut. There's good transparency there, really amongst the specs that Poe has kind of built a good culture with that group for it to be transparent, open, honest, and really ongoing communication with the operation. If there's an issue with the timing of the operation or where the spot is, or Will has an issue or wants to adjust how the spot is for Mr. Wright, that's kind of where Poe kind of steps in and really kind of able to mitigate the situation or really kind of navigate through. So everything gets all worked out and everyone's really, there's no sensitivity within our group. Everyone is open to coaching, and really at the end of the day, everything's going to be about how Will wants it done.
Matt, what stood out most just from a mental aspect in terms of just what he's made of?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, Alec, the biggest thing is how he performed in pressure situations, game-winning kicks. You can even go back to really the national championship game. Not the national championship game, but the semifinals game at the Rose Bowl versus Michigan. I mean, he had a 50-yarder and a 52-yarder, and those were probably two of the biggest kicks really in the entire kind of playoff series if you look at it. And it was him. I mean, he went through his process, and what I love most about it is his consistent ball striking. Is probably the biggest thing that I appreciate within his game is how well he consistently strikes the football. Never really does he have any miss hits or hits the ground. His balls always have good trajectories. Never had a field goal blocked or a PAT. And so that says a lot about the operation, his ability to get the football up immediately, and how consistently he strikes the football.
Any more questions? Thank you, Coach.
Cool. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Matt.